Oh, the cookie in the kitchen, you know, me say she want go.
Come one, come all. Let me tell you a little about Jamaican culture. I know about we dance, I know about we food. This time is about we oral traditions. You want to know more? Tune into Untold Stories Forgotten Folklore. Me nah go say nothing more. You have to go tune in for know. That is all me have to say.
Grumble say she want go home.
My father make one piece of yam serve the whole world. Do you know that, Wriggle?
No.
Wriggle me this, wriggle me that. Guess me this wriggle and perhaps not. My father have one piece of yellow yam and he make it serve the whole world.
The world?
You want to hear that story?
Yes.
Crick.
Crack.
Once upon a time, you know, and Nancy used to live into a village where you get a name according to how you behave, your character.
You're listening to Untold Stories Forgotten Folklore. From haunting tales of Duppy to riveting tales of Anansi, I'm Sheldonny Rodney. Stories are being told everywhere. It's in our daily lives. The work we do, the meal we eat, and the homes we live in. Join me as I journey to where Jamaica's storytelling all started. Oral traditions.
Our oral tradition in form and a great deal of it in content came with us on the ships from West Africa.
This is Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks, Jamaican-born writer, director, storyteller, and lecturer at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts.
In particular from Ghana. That is an incomplete statement to make because that statement is based on our understanding of the way the Europeans divided Africa and called this piece, that piece, and that piece, and this piece. But for purposes of understanding where it came from, we can say roughly from West Africa. We used to have in Jamaica something called a moonshine darling, right? Where we're going to tell stories in the moonlight. But there was a great deal of preparation during the day when that moon was going to be full. So you have to almost a ritual cleansing of the storytelling space, and you clean it. And then in the days when we never have plastic drinks buckle, we'd have glass buckle. And as some of us would say grass buckle. And you broke up some grass buckle now, and somebody lie down on the ground after you have swept it, and you put grass back around them. So when them get up, you see this, the impression of this person. Mm-hmm. So when night fall, that's where you're going to tell story and it glisten in the moon. Well, the Ghanaians have something called a moonlight play, which is exactly the same thing as a moonshine darling, the preparation and getting the imprint and so on to tell the stories.
Oral tradition is communication by word of mouth, in which pieces of culture such as beliefs, folk tales, and customs are passed down from generation to generation.
Our relationship to food, to drought, to famine, to rain, to the gods, to the elements, to one another. All our stories have those elements.
It is indigenous to each people or society. The type of oral tradition is based on the type of people. Different societies create different cultures. No culture is the same. Marjorie Wiley O.D., Jamaican pianist, percussionist and educator, is widely known for her interest in traditional Jamaican and African music. Her name is a popular household name for her performances in the children's television program Ring Ding between the early 1970s and 1980s.
Well, in dealing with the music, we have managed to isolate 28 different musical forms that can go through from songs in Anansi stories. Anansi has a theme. It goes, remember Anansi has what they call Lishtong. She mean and she coming down, she mean and she coming down, all them gal a Laban. She mean and she coming down, she mean and she coming down, she mean and she coming down, all them gal a Laban. She mean and she coming down. That's his theme.
Oral traditions may consist of songs. Creating rhythm and rhyme plays a vital role in the African society. Some folktales have embodied in them songs to enhance the message it is trying to bring across. Miss Marjorie Wiley explains further how music is used in folktales.
Within Anansi stories and folk tales, there is very often a song or a chant which helps to carry forward the action of the plot of the story. For instance, there was a story Miss Lou used to tell about Dora, who was a pretty girl, and she lived with her grandmother, which Miss Lou said was an old witch woman named Makeke. And Makeke would not let Dora out of the house. She would go out and leave her locked up in the house, and when she came back to let her know that it was her, she would sing, Dora, Dora, Fimi, Dora, 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 bring the lakapaleo, dama keke damia, dama keke damia, dama keke shwip, blam. No, the shwip is open, blam, the door slams. Now, Anansi saw how pretty Dora was because, he would see her in the window. He spun a web up into a tree and listened carefully to the song. When Makeke went out, Anansi went and he said, Dora, Dora, Fimi, Dora, 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 bring the lakapaleo, dama keke damia, dama keke damia, dama keke shwip blam. And Dora just laughed at him. So he said, but I must find a way, I must find a way. And so on. And then he went and he got some hot lead and poured it down his throat to make his voice softer and all of this sort of thing. And then, but he came to no good. He came to absolutely no good. But the song, it was absolutely important in carrying forward the action of the plot. And the point is that good storytellers who know where their culture is coming from and this sort of thing will have a song, and they will put things together and make sure. You can always make up your own song. Then you always finish with Jack Mandora, me not choose none. There are songs that accompany all of the stages of life. So if we go back to the cradle now, you're going to deal with songs for putting children to sleep. And even although you're dealing with babies who are not understanding, if you sing the songs often enough and that sort of thing, as they grow, then they begin to absorb what would be the norms of the society. And not only mothers and grandmothers and women sing lullabies, men in the traditional setting sing lullabies as well. And there are a number of them that refer to fathers. There's one that Miss Lou used to teach on ring ding. So you'd put the baby's hands in yours, and so you clap hands. So it goes, clap hands till Papa come home. Clap hands till Papa come home. Papa bring cake for baby alone. Baby eat all, now give mama none. Mama get becks and lick baby palm. Clap hands till Papa come home.
This aspect of culture is not as prominent in today's modern society like other aspects such as music and dance. It is therefore lacking among the youths of today. How educated are today's children as it relates to oral traditions? Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks elaborates on this.
I have done a storytelling festival since 2003. The children just cannot get enough of it for all kinds of reasons. Storytelling, there's a curiosity about what's going to happen next. There is a desire to hear more about something in more detail that you have only heard of in passing. That storytelling allows us to be up close and personal. I have come to the conclusion that somebody somewhere is telling them stories or telling them bits of stories. There is a stage at which I have found, because I work with all age groups, that we just get too cool for stories. It's when we reach 13, we're just too cool. We don't want to hear that thing. But other things are happening to us when we're 13. By 15 or 16, we come back to the stories if we have been introduced to them properly. And I say if, because we've talked about the technology and the cultural onslaught and so on, that might take us so far away, we forget that once upon a time, we did hear the stories.
With eager faces and bright smiles, students sit and wait to hear about the troublesome Anansi. The classroom setting is a wonderful place to teach a child morals through Anansi stories, proverbs, and sometimes a sprinkle of folk music. However, this has a disadvantage. The greatest challenge faced with the task of teaching oral traditions in schools is distortion. Dr. Carl Watt from the University of the West Indies, Jamaica, speaks on the matter.
Based on my teaching of oral tradition in heritage studies, I teach the course Introduction to Heritage Studies. Based on my teachings here of oral tradition, it's clear that it has its advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, it's not written down, it's transmitted orally. And the disadvantages, however, are distortions, because it's not, well, that's one of the primary disadvantages, because it's not written down in some cases. So basically, interpretations will vary, or how it's transmitted over time might change based on the individual who is transmitting the information. So in the school system now, we take pride in place of having our children learn to read, right? You don't have to be considered illiterate or so on. Because normally, traditionally, with oral traditions and transmitting things primarily orally, that has been seen as a downside in terms of transmission of historical information over time, or heritage or tradition over time in general, because a lot becomes diluted, and it's normally associated with we want to say illiterate, but mostly, a lot of illiterate people, that is how they receive their information. They are largely dependent on what they hear, or how it's transmitted orally. In that sense now, if in the school system, you have to strike a balance, I think, between the written word and the spoken word.
Despite the risk of distortion, some teachers like Miss Anika Campbell recognizes the importance of oral traditions and incorporates them in the classroom.
There are several methods used to incorporate oral traditions in my teaching so that my students can benefit from cultural awareness. Some ways our oral traditions are incorporated are through proverbs. Effective use of proverbs can help to develop their writing skills and deepen their cultural knowledge. Through storytelling, such as Anansi and Duppy stories. Through dramatization using poets such as Louise Bennett. Through songs, dance, and ring games. Students are given assignments to interview elderly or their grandparents in their community to get information on their culture. Through the use of technology that shows films such as various cultural activities. These are just several methods that are used to incorporate oral traditions in the classroom.
In closing the documentary Untold Stories, Forgotten Folklore, Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks, followed by Miss Marjorie Wiley, outlines the importance and preservation of oral traditions.
What works is that we make it relevant to their own experience, present day. I cross over all the time, and I'm aware when I'm doing it. When I'm introducing persons to Anansi, then I keep the stories as I learn them. When I'm performing for persons who already know about Anansi, we do all kind of thing with the Anansi stories. Mm-hmm. When we preserve format. We preserve the integrity of the character. Anansi lived by his wit. And so you can do many things with the way Anansi using head. And in that way, we are preserving the integrity of the stories. We could even write new Anansi stories using the integrity of the character of Anansi and the settings within which Anansi operated to make a point. We have a heritage. We come from somewhere and we bring something for civilization, and that intellectual heritage has redemptive value for the way we operate in today's world.
I think it's very important that every child learns about his or her heritage, where you're coming from, where you are now, who you are because of what your ancestors brought, and the kind of culture that has developed, the norms that govern smooth running of the society, belief patterns, things that have grown out of what was brought here, the way things have been mixed together, and the amalgamation that has come out of that. In the same way that we need to learn about the history of our heroes, who they were, how they became what they were to the society and the development of the country, and so on. It's important that you learn your history, because then you develop a kind of confidence in who you are, what you are, why you are, what you are, how that affects your development.
A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. A famous quote by Jamaican national hero Marcus Mosiah Garvey. This statement is indeed true, as culture is what forms a nation or society. Aspects of culture are what makes that particular society unique. Jamaican culture is a pepperpot of different ethnic groups. It is identity passed down from generation to generation. Stories and folk tales teaches us about our ancestors, and it is something that needs to be passed down to the future generation. You have just listened to Untold Stories, Forgotten Folklore. Thank you for tuning in. This was a radio documentary produced by Sheldonny Rodney. Music by Kevin MacLeod and Miss Marjorie Wiley.